I've been told that I LARP Legends, that I don't play the game. I only play during, the major periods, blah, 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 blah. Don't care. Today, we're gonna make a tier list because I was told, tier list, maybe I won't, maybe the LARP rap accusations, maybe they'll go away, man. So, I have a tier list, I made the tier list, and I'm just gonna share that tier list today, man. And maybe, with my list, maybe, people can stop calling me a LARPer, who knows? So the way this is gonna maybe this is gonna how the way this is gonna work. I have the tier list on my screen ready to go. At the end of the video, I'll actually show it off. Obviously, I'm gonna show the screen at the end, right? But the way I'm gonna do this, I have 3 honorable mentions that I have picked out because I'm gonna be honest, the lower slots were kind of like harder to pick out as opposed to the higher slots. So the way this is formatted, I have 3 honorable mentions that I will go by. Not these will not be in order. The honorable mentions will not be in order. And then we'll go starting, from 10 all the way to 1. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, let's without further ado, let's get in, to the tier list, man. All right, at honorable mention number 1, I have Buhan. So Buhan, is a character that I think, especially on release, was very. And obviously, Buhan, I think on release, was very good. He probably was top 5 if I remember correctly. It's been a little while and I wasn't super active on Legends. I still playing the game, okay, but I wasn't like too in tune with the PvP, so I'm not exactly sure where his placement was, but I know he was definitely like top, probably like 5 or 3, right, on release. And the reason for that is Buhan just he has like a lot of stuff like in his kit. I think the main part of his kit that I think most people know about is the ghost gauge. So when Buhan enters the battlefield, he has a green, right? What this green essentially does, if you guys, don't know somehow, he gets, his gauge up. And basically, when you attack him with a strike or blast arts card, he will counter your attack and he'll draw blue, and then you'll also be able to, counter with the blue. After he counter, you proc his gauge with the thing. It's similar to how Broly works right now. This is, I think combo stoppers in general are just annoying as hell. But I think, like, again, also being able to combo off of it is also very annoying. His ult, correct me if I'm wrong, does his ult not have, like, yeah, it even does half damage to standby. It's an AoE, right? Cancel buff effects on his main. And just a bunch of other stuff. I'm not reading out the entire kit. I'm not fucking Garesh. We're not gonna go super into detail, but I think Buhan's honorable mention because he's just, like most games, power crept, right? Like most characters on this game, power crept. So yeah, Buhan's honorable mention, and yeah, so he's honorable mention number 1. Let's move on to honorable mention number 2. Alright, honorable mention number 2 is going to be Janemba. So, the reason Janemba's on here is because I've fought a couple of Janembas, right? That blue card, like, when he, like, does the green into blue, that actually does do damage, right? And, again, part of that is because he is on, correct me if I am live over on Twitch while recording this, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's on A-tier boost right now, which does give him, like, some stats to be somewhat viable, right? I think most Janembas you will see him proud because, I mean, most of the time you're not really fitting him into a team on standard, right? So I think proud is where you're mostly going to see him. But even on standard, like, with the right setup, Janemba can still be, like, pretty good. Obviously, he does damage, do well. He's not exactly a good tank, but he does... Sorry. He does have, like, he does have endurance, too. Second lives are always, valuable. Blast cover change, the gauge does, what gauges do, blah, blah, blah. I'm not reading all of that. But I just, like, the damage and stuff that he's gotten from the boost and the value he's gotten off of it, especially with the PO buffs, that we have with the Paragus now. Broly, 13 also being, relevant now, is also, a big plus for Janemba. So that's why he is on honorable mention number 2. Now let's move on to the last and final honorable mention. Alright, honorable mention number 3. And the last honorable mention is going to go to this Senkai Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So he's on here because he did somewhat recently get his a unique equip that helped him a lot. By the way, that unique equip was crazy. Yeah, especially when paired with the Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think that this guy definitely works very effectively. The lock-in when he switches in is very good. He has, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe 3 universal cover changes. When he has a GT, I think one other GT ally, I believe, also on the team, or as battle member, right? So he has that going for him. His ult, from what I've seen, doesn't really do that much damage. I think this guy is just... I think his main value is personally that lock-in that he has. The blue card can also be, you know, it can snipe. And then also the cover changes. Universal cover change, I think, is always going to have value, right? So that's why this guy is honorable mention number 3. But now, with the honorable mention out of the way, let's move on to the actual top 10 list. Alright, at number 10... I have Ultra Super Saiyan 4, well, no, I'm sorry, let me get this right. Ultra Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku. We got him at number 10. This definitely was close, I think, but I think this slot, I think, was definitely between, like, him, Buhan, Sword of Hope. But ultimately, I think I decided on him at number 10. This guy, he still has the Ultra UI mechanic where, you know, when the enemy switches, you basically, like, lock him in and you can combo off of it, right? I guess not combo, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he can counter with the blue, on it. I'm just gonna do a quick, like, double check. Hand and cover change, and, okay, it deals damage, and you can combo off it, yes, I was correct. You can't combo off of it. This guy also has a gauge where when it's filled up, you seal an enemy's card slot, which you know, still has value. I think this guy can still dish out damage, especially with that, you know, anti-cover change mechanic. He removes his own card slot seal, which, you know, at the time of his release, I assume was valuable for, you know, opposing Super Saiyan 4 Gokus, right? He gets, you know, extra stats and stuff when you GT, so, you know, I don't remember what tier he's on right now. I want to say A. It could be a little below A. But, yeah, I think this guy, you know, the damage on the anti-cover chain, I think that's still very valuable. To this day, it's still very annoying, along with the lock-in, as well as still being able to do decent damage to this day. And also being, I think, one of the only viable color counters to full power, like the Legend Rose, right? So, putting him at number 10. Let's move on to number 9. All right, next up, I think this is let me see. I'm trying to think. Is this guy like the first? Okay, I think this is the first character to come out this year on the list. So, you know, we got LF Sword of Hope. Fuck. Ultra Sword of Hope here at number 9. Despite what people will tell you, this guy still can do, and I know this guy still can do damage, and I know what you're thinking. Like, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen the Slayblix clip, of, you know, him not killing 13 on the ult. That wasn't kind of embarrassing, as well as the Sword of Hope not being an insta one shot. But I mean, even despite that, you still can't deny that getting that free damage like that, as well as the Sword of Hope being able to end the opponent's combo, is still very, very valuable. Especially because I've been on the receiving end of that several times, where I try to, you know, get my last part of the combo off, but then the Sword of Hope comes in and just ends it, and then, you know, I'll just die. Like when pre-anniversary, when I was running Ultra Super Villain Goku Black against this guy. Like, dude, sometimes I'd get caught off guard. I'd forget about the Sword of Hope. And then Goku Black's, like, you know, dead. He's dead. So, this guy, he still can do damage, right? Do not let the propaganda, okay, affect this guy. Alright? He is still good. Alright? Do not let the propaganda affect it, alright? Don't fall for it. Yeah, Sword of Hope, to my recollection, he can still somewhat tank, right? Maybe not against like Legend of Vegito, but like, you know, he still somewhat can tank, right? So Sword of Hope, number 9. Moving on to number 8. All right, number 8. And before I actually start talking about Bardock here, I do want to point out, I think that number 8 and you know, which is Bardock, and number 7, who we'll get to later on the list, I think you can interchange them, and I would not fight you on it. I think that 8 and 7, personally, I would put at interchangeable. So, you know, whether or not you want Bardock at 7 or the next person at 8 or blah, 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 interchangeable, you know, it doesn't matter to me, right? I think they're somewhat equal, have similar values, but now let's actually talk about Bardock. Now, oh boy, Bardock. Bardock, especially when he first released, bro, this motherfucker, the timer count every game. You see a Bardock on the enemy team, and you already know it's going to go to a timer count. We all know about Bardock's indestructible. When he has his release gauge up, he has indestructible. He has the disrupt to where whenever you hit him with cards, he increases your your cards cost by 10. When this guy is last man standing and he pops his main, yeah, goodbye. Your character is dead. The character that's currently on the field is dead. This guy, he gets an indestructible back when an ally fucking dies. Sure. The gauge, I think, charges pretty fast. He gets like 40% gauge when you use like a blue rush ult like for the first time. Defensive menace still. I still think Bardock is, you know, very good. That's why he's on the list. The issue with Bardock right now is the fact that now that we have Ultra Gogeta, what ends up happening with Bardock is he has the Metal Cooler effect. To where Bardock, if you let him sponge too much, he can end up causing you to lose via damage, right? So you have to be careful now with Bardock, especially now that we have a very viable and very good red unit running about that can, you know, shit out damage for free. You have to be very cautious with Bardock, right? But even then, indestructible, I think, you know, having that permanent indestructible up is still very, very valuable. And can save games, and it has saved games for me in the past, having, you know, the indestructible up when your opponent wants to either rush or, you know, do their ult, right? That might potentially kill, but, you know, you swap in a Bardock when he has indestructible, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. Bardock's still very good, and he's at number 8. Now, we're going to move on to numero 7. Alright, at number 7, and again, interchangeable with Bardock, we have Android 13. So, 13 is still, the support he provides is very crazy. The biggest reason I think I have him on this list is because now that he's on the boost, A-tier boost, his stats can now keep up with these, you know, newer units, right? So, he's able to stick around for longer, able to support the team for longer. That support, you know, again, still crazy. This guy still, by the way, I just want to point out, does have some pretty banger animations and base. We also all know the green card. I already know all your moves. Still very, you know, very funny. So yeah, 13, still very good. The revive, very helpful because, you know, most second life mechanics that we have on the list are endurance. So 13 just having an actual revive, as opposed to like endurance that can be canceled. I think it's also a big W for 13. 13 also being able to enable characters like Broly and Gogeta, who are very high on this list, I think is, you know, a very big plus for 13. You know, again, like I said, during Bardock, if you wanted to tell me that Bardock was above 13, I would not fight you on that at all. I wouldn't fight you on it at all, right? So, if you want to interchange Bardock to 13, be my guest. I'm not going to fight you on it. I think that's fair. But 13 going to be at number 7. Now moving on to number 6. Alright, at number 6, I have Nap Vegeta on the list here. So, Nap Vegeta, dude, I loved running Nappa back when he got his equip, right? When he got the equip, this guy was a monster, bro. I love running this unit. Like, the damage, like, that Nappa did on the blue was crazy. Second life, crazy. The tanking, crazy. I just think, like, this character is still very, very good to this day. You know, getting that snipe with the Nappa blue card still feels so satisfying. Filling up the gauge with Nappa, it allows him to draw that blue, right? Nappa kind of just, you know, here to fuck around with the enemy until he eventually revives into Vegeta. Now, I'm not, I'm gonna be so for real, guys. I'm not too aware of what exactly Vegeta does. I know he does get, I know the gauge is a very important part of the kit, which is why, I believe especially on release, you would want Nappa to get the gauge up for Vegeta, so Vegeta could have that locked and loaded, ready to go. Now that's not as much of an issue, because as I'm aware, Nappa, when this character revives, they do get some of the gauge, so that's, less of an issue. But Vegeta, this character is still so fun to use, right? They can still do a lot of damage, especially, this character can kind of, help Broly, not help Broly, keep Broly in check. Vegeta is the actual, like, Broly defensive counter, like, color counter, right? Because purple beats green. We all know this, right? The blue card snipe, blue card, especially when you hit it, characters like Broly can do a lot of damage. Now I need to check this. I do not remember. Does Vegeta, he does nullify endurance, if I remember correctly, I believe, right? Yeah, he does nullify endurance, so, there's a bunch of buff removal, so, whether you're going to see that or not, whatever. But, again, Vegeta is still very relevant to this day, at number 6. Moving on to number 5. Alright, and at number 5, we have Vegeta. So, Vegeta, I believe, is on featured boost now, and this is a very big deal, especially since when the anniversary first started, Vegeta was, like, one of the only counters to Broly, right? Vegeta, especially when his gauge was up, Broly, like, dude, Broly was dead. Like, bro, you hit Broly with a few fucking strikes, you hit him with that legend action into the blue, and he's dead. That's his first life gone. Vegeta's still a monstrous damage dealer, bro. This guy is, dude, again, especially with his gauge, can do a lot of damage, bro. Like, I think that's honestly, like, this character, dude, he's so fucking, he's so good, bro. Like, his damage is crazy. Especially, back when Bardock was relevant, this guy, when you have his gauge up, he's not affected by the arts cost up thing. So, again, that's, this guy has, big value against Bardock as well, but Bardock not really, as relevant anymore, right? So, yeah, Vegeta just, like, does a lot of damage, especially, again, against Broly, and can even keep up against characters like Gogeta, too, right? So, sorry, I'm coughing a little bit, but, again, Vegeta, especially, like I said, on featured boost, I think this character definitely can cook up a lot. Also, again, being able to draw multiple ults is also very valuable, too, so, yeah, that's gonna be Vegeta at number 5. Then I'm gonna move on to number 4. Alright, number 4, it's going to be Legend Goku Black. Super villain, what do they call him? Legend Super Saiyan Rose Ultra Super Villain Goku Black. Now, Goku Black, he's not, like, that, like, what am I trying to say here? That new, or not that old, sorry, not that new. He's not that old. He released, just like a month or two ago, right? He released just a month or two ago, and, he's still, again, very valuable. I believe he's still on featured boost, or at least S tier, right? Or, he's on a higher tier boost, is what, I don't know the fucking tiers, because fucking, I don't have all that shit memorized, bro. You got me fucked up. But, Goku Black, his kit is still, like, very good. He has the 2x buff removal. He draws multiple ults. He goes side neutral when his gauge is up, right? He can combo a long time. He has a pretty decent disrupt too. In, removing 2 enemy cards when he gets hit the first time he comes in. And I don't believe that's just like, that's not just one time only, because I believe it resets. I don't know how many times it resets, but it can reset. So, again, Goku Black, he all around, very good unit. The damage he can do is crazy. Being a blue to counter, to help counter Ultra Gogeta is very, again, very valuable. And color counters, I think are, somewhat of a factor that you should be considering. But yeah, I don't even know what to say about this guy. The Legends action locking in too, by the way. You get the, not lock in, I guess, but increased enemy sub count. Very good. Especially when you pair this guy with his best friend, Yellow Goku Black, LF, that just got his plat. This guy can do, like, he's kind of going with the sauce, bro. Having this guy somewhat, be the sword to Yellow Goku Black's shield. You guys know, man. There's a lot of repeated points, but I mean, I think you guys understand the points I'm trying to make. So, Goku Black can be at number 4, and I am gonna make the similar point. So with this guy and number 3, similar to how Bardock and 13 were interchangeable, this guy and number 3 are gonna be interchangeable. So if you wanted to be swap them around, I'd be my guest. I'm not gonna fight you on that, but with that out of the way, Goku Black number 4. We're gonna move on to number 3. All right, number 3, and again interchangeable with 4. Legend Bro Goku Black. We're gonna have the Ultra Gogeta. This guy, obviously he released for part 1 of the anniversary. And we all know, I don't think I need to go into too much detail as to what this guy can do, right? The Stardust Fall, very good. Ultimate can do a lot of damage. What else am I going to say about this guy? I mean, animation is not really involved in the tier list, but animation is still very good. This guy, like, the Stardust Fall, I think, is the biggest talking point I think I have to say about this guy. Because, like, the damage that he can do is crazy. And also, I think the biggest thing you have to keep in mind about the Stardust Fall is that, unlike other AoE attacks that other units might have, this guy does 100% of the damage to the bench. As opposed to, like, Buhan, who was mentioned earlier, only doing 50%. This guy does 100%, right? And, what else am I gonna say? What else do I even have to say about this guy, man? Like, he protects his hand on main with helpful against, like, characters like Rose. He stacks damage, right, to help with that Stardust Fall. Not universal cover change, but cover change against, Blast and Strike. Very good. The gauge, he has the counter as well. Some people I've actually seen, a little bit off topic, I guess, but some people, like, not too aware of how the counter works, right? But, I mean, I think most people, I guess, hopefully by now have learned that you have to tap the screen for it to actually counter when his gauge is full. It does a lot of damage, dude. Like, what else do I even have to say, man? I will say, I do wish Gogeta was more of a strike. I guess, I feel like there's not really a lot of blast, like, I don't know, the blast setups for him, which, like, it's his main attacking type, so that's why I'm mentioning it. I don't know if it's that big of a deal. You could run a melee, like, or strike-based Gogeta and probably get away with it. Me personally, I like to maximize the main attacking stats, so it's a little off for Gogeta. But regardless, this guy has big damage, go boom, counter, so that's why he's at number 3, man. He, big damage, go boom. But again, number 3, interchangeable with 4. Now moving on to number 2. All right, and at number 2 for the series, and interchangeable with 1, I have Legend Broly. Now, Broly, oh man, does this guy do a lot of stuff? All right. I guess, we'll start off by giving him his praises. First ever multi-transforming unit, being anniversary headliner for part 1. Very, very big dub, right? This guy does do a lot of damage, and I'm gonna be honest, this guy really does control the pace of the game. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, bro. I feel like Legend Broly, when you see him, I feel like he has the power to control the match. And the reason for that is his gauge. So, I'm sure we're all aware of how his gauge works. I don't think I need to say it. But when you get hit, and when his gauge is full, and you get hit with a Striker Blast card, he transforms. Can I change the art, please? No? Like, the fuck, man? I guess I have to do that. Okay, I have to do that. That's how I'm stupid. He transforms. He does this 2 times. That's why he's the, kind of the GOAT. He transforms multiple times. Combo off the blue. It can do good damage. From what I've seen, it's hit or miss, right? Depending on who gets hit with this blue. You can counteract this because his legend action does cause him to go type neutral. So if you legend action, or if you get it off, right? If you legend action get it off, you go type neutral. Then you land the blue because you can combo that. If obviously, that can do pretty good damage no matter the type. But I think Broly just his defense is there. He can control the match. His damage is definitely there. He cancels endurance off blue, which I mean most characters that don't have ults that are these premium units do that, right? So not really anything like unique, but yeah, I think I don't know, Broly, he just what else do I even have to say about him, man? I feel like his gauge is just like I don't know. He does lock in on cover change. He does prevent switching, and he destroys a card too. I think that is also something I think I have to mention because I've gotten cucked by that so many times, bro, with this guy. So Broly at number 2, interchangeable with 1. Now we're gonna move on to who I have at number 1 on this tier list, and if you guys even play the game at all, I think you guys know who's at number 1 here. All right, and at number 1 on the tier list, dude, the definitely not a Legends Larper tier list, we have Goku Black. The LF one that just recently got his unique equip, or plat, I guess is what, I guess the actual, term, is for it. I'm not probably sure I hear it called multiple things. This plat has to be the greatest plat known to fucking history of history of mankind. It has to be, the best plat, I think, of all fucking time, bro. Because the glow up that this guy received on his plat equip, generational run, I don't know what Tani or what the fucking developers were doing, or what they were on when they made this. Put them on it again. Put them on it again. Because my God, is this guy just broken, bro. This guy does crazy damage, bro. If you guys saw my the video I did on the plat, you guys saw this guy cook up a storm, bro. This guy was cooking, bro. I think the biggest selling point for this guy is easily his defense and how much he can fucking heal, bro. My God, dude, I'm sure you guys know Prof and the fucking LF Blue Boys, attacks, which I'm healing. He's healing clip. Yeah, dude, imagine, bro, this guy, if he thought that was bad, this guy does healing on a whole nother level, bro. Especially when you give him the right equips, outside of his plat, of course, right? His health restoration is off the charts. His blue card damage is crazy, especially when he's type neutral, bro. Against, dude, when he's type neutral, no yellow unit is fucking living, bro. I have also never seen a yellow unit be able to tank a dominant red unit's, strongest attack as well as this guy can, bro. This guy will eat Stardust Fall into Gogeta's ult back to back and still remain alive, dude, with his endurance intact, bro. This guy is actually insane. I think this guy and Broly are interchangeable just because, Broly has, he's newer, and I think he just has a lot, his match control with his gauge is very valuable, right? Depending on, how your opponent plays, blah, 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 blah. But this guy is beyond crazy to me, man. I think they definitely cooked on his plat a lot. They, much deserved, I'm gonna be honest, but, that is gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list. What do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Let me know down in the comment section down below. That is gonna be my top 10 list, the definitely not Larper list. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, dude. Bye.